Easter is not a Bible celebration. Unlike the Sabbath that we have, which is mandatory instituted by God that we should honor the Sabbath, Easter isn't anything like that. It is purely a human tradition. And there is no way in the Bible have we been mandated to honor Easter or celebrate Easter. And so nobody should feel the pressure that, look, you don't celebrate Easter, so you are doing something wrong, or you celebrate Easter, so you are doing something right. It is a man-made festival. If people are celebrating that, there is actually nothing wrong with that, to celebrate that. But we must understand that it is not just about the celebration, it's about how it transforms us. Yeah. How has the death, the resurrection, and its coming transform you. And that is what we preach. We preach about the transformation, not just a celebration. Look, as Christians, we need to not just try to educate people on Easter, but let them know the truth about the Christ behind the Easter. And when people get to understand that, even our Gen Z generation will still appreciate that there is somebody whose life transforms our lives.
Hello. Welcome to Unscripted. Here we go beyond the written questions. We go deep and we reflect on our past questions we've been asking ourselves. Today, we are going softly on some questions we've spoken about, but you didn't really get their understanding. We will make you understand today. This is Hope Channel Ghana Live. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Hope Channel Ghana Live, on Facebook, Hope Channel Ghana, and on Instagram, Hope Channel. So I'm here with Pastor, and he would help us to understand our questions and our thoughts very well. So, Pastor.
Yes, Allah.
So, with Easter, we celebrate Easter. Some of us don't really have the real meaning and the origin of Easter, or if I should say, the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. We want to understand. We want to know what goes into it.
Okay, so first of all, let us understand that Easter is not a Bible celebration. Unlike the Sabbath that we have, which is mandatory instituted by God that we should honor the Sabbath, Easter isn't anything like that. Actually, what happened is that Easter is a celebration that the early Christians, started to remember the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And it started somewhere in the first century, okay? Initially, when it started, it wasn't necessarily called Easter. What they did was to try to do something in relation to the Passover festival that used to be there for the Jewish people. And so they started mimicking that. And when they started doing that, it got to a point where there was even a controversy as to when it should be done. Some say, well, let's do it exactly around the time of in fact, they agreed that it should be done on the 14th day of the month of Nisan, which was a Jewish month. And others said, no, we should be done on the first Sunday of April or so forth like that. And later on, during the Council of Nicaea in AD 325, they standardized it and they all came to agreement as where we celebrate it now. So it is purely a human tradition. And there is no way in the Bible have we been mandated to honor Easter or celebrate Easter. And so nobody should feel the pressure that, look, you don't celebrate Easter, so you are doing something wrong, or you celebrate Easter, so you are doing something right. It is a man-made festival. It has nothing to do with the Bible. It is just a human thing. Yeah.
So, for me, sometimes I feel resurrection has become the center of the Christian faith.
Yeah.
Rather than the other teachings. The Bible has so many teachings, but it looks like we are more centered on the death and resurrection.
Yeah.
And as you just said, we have also named it Easter.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to?
Yeah, I mean, the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, this is everything about Christianity. I mean, Jesus Christ came, his purpose of coming was to be a substitute, to die for us. So it is the pillar, the most important pillar of Christianity. If you take it away, then it's gone. There is nothing like Christianity. And if Christ did not rise when he died, then probably he's like one of these prophets who came to live. But he resurrected. And his resurrection is very important to our teaching. The gospel cannot be preached without the resurrection, cannot be preached without the death, and it cannot be preached without his second coming. So these are the three core pillars of Christianity. And so if people are celebrating that, there is actually nothing wrong with that, to celebrate that. But we must understand that it is not just about the celebration, it's about how it transforms us.
Yes.
How has the death, the resurrection, and his coming transform you? And that is what we preach. We preach about the transformation, not just a celebration. Okay.
So, can somebody who calls himself or herself a Christian be there and say, I don't believe that there's something called resurrection because it's just in the Bible? And some people also have the belief that somebody wrote the Bible. So how sure are we that even the Bible has not been written, some parts corrupted a bit or something? So it's like people are celebrating Easter resurrection, but they don't do that. They don't believe in that, but they call themselves Christians.
Well, you cannot call yourself a Christian if you don't believe everything about the Bible in the first place, and if you don't believe everything about Christ's mission, his birth, his death, his resurrection. If you don't believe in the resurrection, then you are not quite there as a Christian. Yeah. And if there's a belief, many people have their own understanding about the Bible. But you see, let's be very factual here. The Bible is a historical book. Let me put it that way. Now, there are so many other historical books, okay, many books that were written in the first century, thereabout. There are ways that scholars use to test the authenticity of historical books. And every scholar, whether atheist or Christian, will tell that, yes, in fact, there is no way you can doubt the authenticity of the Bible, okay? And there are many accounts, extra biblical accounts, that point to the fact that a man came to this world who was proclaimed by the Jews as the Messiah, who died and resurrected. The accounts are there. So if somebody says, I don't believe in that, you do your own history, do your own search, and be very objective. And you will come to find that indeed there was somebody like that who lived. But we don't see him as just a somebody. We see him as the Son of God who came down here to live a perfect life and died for us and rose again on the third day and is now in heaven.
That's very true. So with our last bit, with the celebration of the Passover, resurrection, I'm generally putting all together because it's not everybody who accepts the Easter, but some do believe the resurrection and the death. So with all these celebrations, in the previous years, it looked like it was more spiritual than in this my current Gen Z world. We are losing so many things, and social media is also taking a part of it. Do we have, or can we say that there's a future where probably everything might be lost, the teachings of it, the morals and everything? Does it look that way?
Yeah, actually, if you look at the world now, it's like celebration of Easter is going down. It's losing its core meaning about Christ. It's become more commercial. I mean, this day everything is commercial because of social media. And yeah, there's a tendency that time will come, people will celebrate this Easter thing and they wouldn't even know what it means. Okay. And I also believe that, look, as Christians, we need to not just try to educate people on Easter, but let them know the truth about the Christ behind the Easter. And when people get to understand that, even our Gen Z generation will still appreciate that there is somebody whose life transforms our lives, instead of just talking about this Easter. And again, there is also nothing wrong, even though Easter is not a Bible kind of celebration, there's also nothing wrong using that opportunity to project Christ. Because when there is a celebration and the people ask, what are you celebrating? And we say Easter. What is Easter? Oh, it's about the death of Christ and the resurrection of Christ. Yes, the word Easter, there is a lot of controversy. Because originally, when they started celebrating, they didn't call it Easter. They were, in the mind was like, they were giving a Christian version of Passover. Okay, even though Passover is still not something that we celebrate. there wasn't Easter, but along the line, around the 4th century onward, some people connected paganism to this celebration. Just as today, in our world today, people in Ghana connect Easter with Kwewu, okay, Easter Monday to beach.
Yes,
I mean, for a long time, Easter Monday is beach. It has become like the norm. So along years past, people kind of add their own understanding, whatever they want to do to the celebration.
Yes.
So along the line, they added this goddess of fertility, whose name has to do with Easter. They added to it, and it became the name Easter. So that is how it comes. But so there is nothing wrong when we also say, look, on this day, when there is a public holiday from Friday up to Monday, why don't you also do something and make it a tradition, a positive one? Maybe on the Easter Monday, we can also decide that we go out to help those who are in need, and we have a beautiful name to it. Maybe, who knows, after a couple of years, it becomes a tradition. Everybody knows Easter Monday is meant to help other people. You know, there was a time that Valentine's Day is red. Then I think some years back, they said it's Chocolate Day.
Yes, very true.
Now,
very
even
true.
though Valentine is still Valentine,
but
now we added chocolate.
Yes.
And I'm sure with time, people even forget the red and become brown chocolate.
Yes.
That is it. Okay, so we can also do the same. And we must not be afraid of the fact that it's connected to paganism, because what I'm doing is not the pagan stuff. I'm doing it for God. Yeah.
This has been Unscripted, and I just hope you've had a better meaning and a version of Easter. You can celebrate your Easter in your own way, but don't forget, however you celebrate it, it should represent Christ. People should see Christ within you as you celebrate your Easter. Go out there and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.